Does the system work for anybody? The question that some of you, by the time you click onto this video, some of you are asking. The system works for some people, Bloomy, so the system can't be. Oh, hold on. And my apologies. And there's going to be some of you who say, well, Bloomy, that's, your opinion about, systems and things like that. The system is working for some people, or it's helping some people. I mean, it can't all be. And I want to say this to that. Okay. I'm going to say that on paper and to a certain degree, yes, the system does work for some. It can, but this is a blend. It's a blend of, usually it's people that are tokens, whether they know that they have been made to be tokens or not, okay, that are tokens. And so in that way, then the system works because they're going to be being used as tokens, okay. In other cases, the system can. For an example, so I was talking to someone today, and I told them, I said, hey, I said, it's not suitable for me for a whole lot of reasons. Okay, me and my son's dynamic is not going to be the cookie cut version of the population that's walking into these places. So that's one variable, as well as I am, whether people can catch up and accept this, and I am a targeted individual, and as is my son. So when you have those two combined factors, for someone like me, it's going to always fail. It's going to come with the bait and switch traps. On the surface, we're here to help you. Look at what we can do. And I keep reminding you all that all you have to do is look at any dynamic of any abusive situation in life. It was never always like that. It started with gifts. It started with kindness. It started with, look at everything we can do for you. We're here to help you. We want to serve you. We can provide assistance with. It always starts like that. Okay? And that's the bait, the hook. Okay? But don't let that, I just want to say this to any of you out there who might be somebody that's single. Because, I don't know who all eventually hears this. So I'm treading lightly, because if you're a targeted individual, it's still designed as a trap. And you're going to find that your efforts are being thwarted. Okay? But if you are someone that's single, okay, I was going to say with kids under 18, but I'm going to caution that, because I mean, you know, I'll caution that. But if you are someone with kids that's underage and you're single and you're in a situation, well, it might work for you if you're able to survive what it all is going to entail. Okay, it might work for you. And I told somebody today, I was like, hey, if you know someone, I'm like, this is not going to work for me. Every time, when I'm attempting to do all these things with these various, it's blah, 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 because I don't fit the cookie cutter criteria. So, but if you know somebody, okay, if you know somebody, that's what I told this person. I said, if you know somebody, I got a hold of resources that if they, they get assigned case managers and they go, they have the means to kind of jump through these hoops. They got time, energy, means, their health and well-being to be, spinning around all day, every day. Then they may get into a viable, healthy program, not on the street, not an outside, shelter, Skid Row West, it not, not, but actually, they'll have a shot and they can get into these 90-day programs because they're a clean cookie cut, it ain't gonna be no bullshit, no, none of that. And they'll be able to help them. So if you are listening to this, because I feel like I would be remiss and irresponsible, and I recently shared this with another being, I've had to communicate this. I said, yeah, I hope that you all become more responsible with the things that you're sharing with folks that are living life real time, true to life. I've always, and I'm going to keep being that way about myself. It's easy, when you are a teacher, or you're an intellect, or you're somebody, whatever, at some phase of the game, especially if you've done arrived, you think you've arrived. And there's it's nose blindness and a tendency to forget you're dealing with real people, okay, real families that are affected. So to be flippant and fast and loose with guiding people to do things that might hurt them or put them in a bad way when you're not going to be there to help pick up the pieces. When people's lives are at stake, apologies are really useless. Okay, and especially dry and insincere ones.
Yeah.
That does nothing for a family that has been affected by someone guiding them to do something that they are not prepared to. These are families. Okay, so any of you out there who ends up hearing this, I hope that you and your program and your system and your websites and your apps and your groups all become people that care more about the people that you're serving, more or at least equal to how you care about that paycheck and coming up off of your own business. People like to say and think that they, because they were homeless or they went through these struggles, that's going to keep them in the vein of being careful and mindful. But sometimes it can flip. Because they've been through so much, it becomes, the priority turns from being authentic, being sincere, being empathetic, compassionate, being generous, being open. It goes from that to I fought tooth and nail to get here, and I'm going to do whatever it takes, even if it means compromising my own foundation and integrity. And even if it means a whole nother family that was actually maybe a duplicate of my own life, even if it means they are the sacrifice. While I simultaneously want to talk about the system and the corruption and all of those things. People become the system that they claim that they beat. They become the system that they claim that they stand against. And sometimes it's not even conscious. Sometimes it's the behavior. They become just as insensitive, cold, calculating, and callous as the system they reference. But in the name of balance, in the name of this is who I am and what I'm going to give it. I don't care what season, what the hell's going on with me. I'm going to give it all I got to be sure to at least include this precaution. At the end of the day, we are all in our own skin. We're living our lives, and the people we commune with and share with and talk with, and the groups that we follow and the programs and all of that, They're not living it with us. With all due respect, they're not living it with us. I used to make this joke years ago, even when I was on a more traditional religious path. I used to make this joke then, and I'm making it now. It's real easy when people go home eating chicken and ice cream. That should be my favorite reference, because it's easy to stand behind a podium. It's easy to stand behind before a classroom in front of a chalkboard or a writing board. It's easy to sit in front of a Zoom camera. It's easy to be in the 1,000th meeting that apparently people's jobs are for meetings. They whole grant should have just been written, nigga, is for to do meetings. We're the meetings grant. We are. That is. it's and then condescending, that their condescension to people, their pretentious, contemptuous tones. Tell them I'm in a meeting, as if people ain't as stupid as they appear. Some people are just quiet with it. A lot of people find out about me way late in the game. Let people do what they think they're doing. Now, because I care about legit folk in this universe, if you're in a bad way and your situation permits you to, you're a cookie cut, typical profile fit for these programs, then yes. Okay. Work it to the best of your ability until you feel guided otherwise, until you feel like it's starting to do the adverse effects to your life. But give it a go, give it a shot. I'd be remiss to say different. Now, with all of that being said, I was talking to someone today, and I have to always say this as a disclaimer. Just because y'all hear me say I talked to this one and that one about say that I necessarily believe everything. I just look like this. That's going to be some of the hardest lessons that some are going to get maybe on their deathbed. But I'm still able to be present, and I'm still able to be a kind and a decent. Because if until somebody, until follow, until someone displays to me, not a rumor, not rumor has it, and they had heard, and whoa, like until I can sense something enough with caution, then there's no reason for me to behave and conduct any differently. Other any differently than honorable. Rather, I can sniff. I may sniff all kinds of shit. Okay, but I was talking to somebody, and I was saying, we had a conversation for a while. I was like, well, I said, if humans can get back to the basics, we'll be better off. I said, truthfully, we were talking about religion, spirituality. We were talking about how, everybody's got a story. We were talking about, people, just different stuff, and how no one's perfect. And this is what I was telling this person. I said, you damn straight. Listen, you're right. I said, no one's perfect. If they may look that way. I said, but let me explain. No, dear. Privilege. Privilege can make anything and anybody look perfect. Simple as that. If I was born into a family of wealth that had all the things at their disposal, and I don't care if it was by hook or crook or even legitimate, doesn't matter, but just follow. The cushy life, the cushy setup, all of the backing, all of the big wig support. That's the setup for making that a family, a person, and an individual making their life up. And I'm gonna say up here because that's all that is. Appearance. They say, the Hollywood Six. That's my little joke. And by the way, I ain't hating on cosmetic stuff. I'm into all of the shit. Okay, so it's not like that. But that's my little joke, my inside joke. When y'all hear me say that Hollywood Six veneers, I'm saying like, because it's this aesthetics. They do all the right things, so you think. They make all the right decisions, so you think. They're super mature, so you think. Because when you come from the place of privilege, you get the benefit of appearing perfect. They can have people to take all their tests for them. They ain't got to know shit. I'm a doctor. I'm dumb as doorknobs. But hey, know the right people. Know the just right people, or come from the just right setting to make it seem like they're just on the right track of life. I told this person, I said, no. Mm-mm. And that's what I told him. I said, if humans could get back to the basics and get back to being simple with the true humility, not the fake humility, not the pretentious, pious, pompous, pretend fake, look how humble I am, but really I'm not that version. Because that's not what true humility is. Humility is not with your head hanging low. You can't take a compliment. You're over saying, I give all the glory. Like that's not what humility is. Humility also is not low self-esteem. Because you got a whole lot of people think it's their awakened, paid calling and job to humble people who have confidence. Humility is just being able to smell your own poop. You can smell the poop. Your nose blindness is minimized because you have some level of self-awareness that you practice. You hear me? Did you hear what I said? I said that you practice, because that self-awareness has to be a practice. Life is too busy and chaotic, and if it's not an intentional practice, then you're not self-aware. It has to be a practice. That creates true humility. That's the point that I'm saying. Not performative, externalized. It creates a level, because the more you're that way, you realize that you yourself are an onion. You realize that you yourself have blind spots. You realize that you yourself, albeit successful, whatever success you've managed to attain, no matter what your beauty is, your handsomeness is, your business, because of that willful, mindful practice of self-awareness, nobody ain't got to tell you, the pastor ain't got to tell you, nobody in the sky's got to tell you, the therapists don't have to tell you. It's something, it's a practice of realizing you're a flaw, you're human. You have variables and dynamics that have formed you, just like the next person's got variables and dynamics that have formed them. And if humans could truly do it other than teaching and preaching about it and going on talk shows and grinning their Hollywood six and actually make it personal, we would be a lot kinder as a race of beings. We would be. It listen, it takes the sting out of things. And even when there's things that we don't know and understand about others, the mindful self-awareness practice is what helps. Because like, hey, yeah, I'm sitting here talking about, me, and and me, and me, and when I, and me, and when I, and me, from that space, it's utter oblivion to the differences and the diversities of us all in our experience. I may want to look at, let me give you a case in point. I've been exposed, me and my son, because of our situation, we've been exposed to some very interesting environments. And let me say, when we were out there, in these outside Paris shelters and all of this other stuff, and seeing the Skid Row West or Skid Row North or whatever you want to call it, Skid Row Northwest, Northeast, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm thinking, or what I was thinking as I'm in the midst of it? First and foremost, they're people. They're still people. And second, I don't know their story. But at the end of the day, it's not even necessary for me to know. They're people, not vermin to be swept under. Mm. And I know, you guys, we can't fix. I get it. Somebody out there is going to stumble across my stuff someday and be like, Bloomy, oh, what a beautiful art. But we can't fix it all. It's too big. Bloomy, it's too big. It's too much. I know it is. And I have honor and respect, and I can acknowledge that. I can. I can. It is. But let's play with this for just food for thought. You know how they talk about one person can change? How many one persons, if enough one persons decided, enough one persons decided to utilize their resources in a more honoring way, what kind of difference would that make? Is it going to fix everything? No. But see, the whole story and adage of it, you got to start somewhere. Rome wasn't built in a day. If we would apply that to human kindness, and enough one persons, who are in a position to say, yeah, this is massive, and there's so many variables. Because I've been in the trenches. See, now you're listening to somebody that's not just talking to you about theory. You're listening to somebody that's not giving you regurgitated information from a Zoom meeting. It is a lot. And the demographics is vast. And the variables amongst that demographic is vast. Yes, dealing with people with all kinds of drug and alcohol addictions and oh, it's a lot. But if enough one persons wouldn't be just self-serving. Haven't y'all ever wondered how the hell we got millionaires and billionaires and this shit is just trash, bitch? I ain't understanding that. I don't understand that. How many? How we be having like rich people? You know, all these millionaires, billionaires. It's like, you's a cold, you a cold killer.
I will be a series of brand new trouble for good.
You're a cold killer. That's what you is. You willing to sacrifice the ones you think are the weak so that you can stay strong. That's why I look at rich people differently now. I do. I'm not impressed by them the way I once upon a time was. I don't, aspire to be them the way once upon a time that we all were. They're not my idols because I feel like some of these people are disgusting. That's not something that I want to attain to. They're doing some disgusting things and they're willing to allow some very disgusting things in order for them and their family to be able to keep their $1 million homes. So I'm not impressed. I'm embarrassed. I'm not embarrassed by the people that's on Skid Row. I'm not embarrassed for the people that are displaced. I'm embarrassed for the power. I'm embarrassed for a city, a state, a county, a region, a country, a people, a group, an organization, a family. I'm embarrassed for them. As they switch around in casinos with their nose so high up, creating a nosebleed for everyone in there. I'm embarrassed. I'm embarrassed for the human race. I'm embarrassed for religion. I'm embarrassed for the politicians. I'm embarrassed. It's a twist, isn't it? Because they work so hard to humiliate and dehumanize these populations, to rip every ounce of dignity. I'm not embarrassed for these folks, myself or any other people out there. I feel bad. I think it's disgusting that that's how the population is treated. But embarrassment, humiliation, I'm humiliated for the power. I'm embarrassed by all these people driving around in fancy cars all day and every day, bullying and harassing people who are underprivileged. I'm embarrassed for them, parking their Teslas and motorcycles everywhere, helicopters and shit. I'm embarrassed for them because they're a disgrace. They lost their humanity. Some of them aren't even, you know, I'll just leave that alone. But some of them They lost their humanity a long time ago. If humans could get back to the basics and kindness, but see, the powers don't want that. As you know, I am sorry that I have to deliver that. I'm going to rephrase that. I feel is unfortunate. I'm going to rephrase my words. It's unfortunate that I have to say that, but that's the reality. There's no profit in peace. There's no real profit in real wholeness, in real healthy, in real camaraderie, healthy camaraderie that is built on mutual love, honor, respect, and all that. There's no money in that. There's no profit. You can't pre-sell the movie rights. It would be boring. Why am I saying that? Well, it's going to start to help make some other stuff make sense to some of you by the time you see the video. It sounds like a conspiracy theory, but when we are willing to just sit back and look at stuff, we'll see that it's not. It's not. With Okay, just look at it this way, depending on where you are in the country. Again, if you got so many families and people with money, then don't you wonder? Because play with this as a food for thought. Have you ever played the game and that question where you go, man, if ever I had hit big, or if ever I had hit the lottery, and if ever y'all ever go down that road and you play that game? The things that you would do if you became a millionaire, the things that you would do if you became a billionaire, the things. So you're just one person. Play with that. You're just one person. And the things that you would do as one person with access to all these things, how much more so if there were many other one persons like yourself? The reason why there's so much resistance to this stuff, because it's disrupting the economy and those who monopolize it. It would be a disruption. There's good money with keeping people impoverished. There's good money in keeping people chaotic and conflicty and fighting. You can make your a show on TV. It's good money in disfiguring people, because you can make a show off that and people will look at it. I said what I said. And then the people just be so happy to have something, because they know the name of the game. So happy to have something, to have their needs met. Don't know that they're exploited. If you, as one person, think about all the things you would do if you had all of that, just imagine if you were multiplied. If too many people are truly helped, then there will be no need for these nonprofit organizations at some point. And that's what I believe is a part of why certain things continues on. Because if there's too much success, if there's too much people becoming healthy and whole and self, all that, if there's too much of that, then nonprofit go bye-bye. So they need a constant shuffle and handful of losers. And I say losers with respect. I'm not really calling us or the displaced people that. I'm really talking in the manner in which how these people are really viewing the population that they serve. Listen, if it's too much wellness, who's gonna be filling the spotty spots if people are healthy and whole and supported and all that good old stuff? And what does that mean? Job loss for the people who have made their livings off of working in these situations. That's going to make somebody think someday. Same with medicine, same with everything. We have to be, ain't no real money in that. It's not, listen, y'all, ain't no money in people being healthy. Ain't no money in people being truly confident, not truly. Ain't no money in no real sisterhood, not no healthy brother or sisterhood. I have to clarify because you got all kinds of cliques, gangs, and cults. That thing crazy bitch, they nutty with $1 million suit. Ain't no money in people being whole and well and autonomous. There's no money. There will be no need for an app, a website. There will be no need.
What else is said?
When y'all start talking like that, you're going to get what I'm saying when you make it plain. There's no money in that. It's money in people's pain and suffering, and humans have been plagued upon, whether we're ready to accept this or not. And I'm gonna further specify they're assigned humans that, there's the bunches, the haves and the haves nots. There's some that are assigned. Okay. Okay. There's money and pain and suffering and struggle. It keeps people on top. It keeps people in these jobs. There's money and people being sick. Because then they're going to have to get extensive care, extensive surgeries, operations, treatments, and things of that nature. And I know I went into different arenas, but believe it or not, everything that I'm saying still all goes together. If humans could get back to the basics, we would have less cutthroat greed and primitive behavior. Once upon a time, people would do a kindness to a dog if they saw on the street. They can't even do it anymore for a human being. Once upon a time, humans still had held tact to their humanity. Now the excuse is because this world is crazy. Now the excuse is everybody's clenched in fear. That's the excuse. But this stuff has always been, we always have had drug addicts. We've always have had people that were not okay. And, this is not a new thing with this generation. Once upon a time, if somebody saw, they would size you up. They saw you walking down the street. It depends on how you seem to present. Because I get it. There's a level of safety, especially if you got kids in your car. But once upon a time, if somebody saw you walking down the street, and if you looked relatively normal and kept and things like that, once upon a time somebody say, "Hey, which way you're going? Are you going this way? Hop in." Let's say it was raining, like extreme weather, raining or hot. Once upon a time, and that would have been considered just a kindness you do to a dog. You didn't have to go through a needs assessment to get a damn ride. You didn't have to have an interrogation of your life for the past 5 years in order to get a ride. Humans have lost touch with themselves. Something else fascinating that, this has been my lifelong lesson, and I've observed this my entire life. I observed that women who are erratic, they raise their voice, they get upset, they cuss at you, tantrum. Women who are like that really get the benefits of the doubt and get the results that they want from people, from men who are traumatized and are used to that behavior. Those very same men, they might complain about or say something, but at the end of the day, they will be caught up in the loop with those types of energies because it's based on their trauma and their conditioning. And this is an observation I've observed my whole life. I've watched I've seen this up close and personal, first from my own blood, then other experiences I had privy to be a part of and see. Volatile, crazy acting women. Bitching and moaning, having a bitch fit tantrums and all of that. These are the women. Those men play. I've watched this where these men will play and talk like they, blah, 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 blah. But at the end of the day, those very same men will have their nose so far up the ass that same woman could have cussed them out an hour before. And they'll tolerate that. But when they deal with a woman that's calm, cool, collected, honorable, respectful, forthcoming, truth, then they want to be suspicious. Then they want to be super assertive. Then they want to be withholding. Then they want to, I've watched this happen my entire life. And you know what I've taken from that? This is not doom talk. What I've gathered from that is that's the system. That is actually the system we run on. Because it's still like that abuse dynamic. It's the system. The thrills, the addictions to the highs and the lows, because you fight, have an argument, you come down and you're having coffee and cupcakes. There's a chemical component in trauma bonding that's formed with that. There's an actual physiological response. The saddest thing ever. These same men will fight to the death for these women too. no matter how much they have disrespected them, abused them, you name it. And then they will actually fight against women who had respect for them. Who was calm, cool, collected. And what have I learned? That gave me the game. It told me what the game is. It's the system. The system runs off of loosh, trauma bond dynamics. It loves that. So what do you do with that? It's just an observation. You do nothing. But that realization is a game changer. And it's something that none of the tricks they do can be extracted from you, because now you have awareness. Talk. You'll hear people bitch and moan. We've all heard the stories. People bitch and moan about crazy lovers, but then they went to have, they bitch and moan all the time, but then they go on shopping tomorrow. It's the system. The system thrives off of chaos and keeping that amongst the people. It thrives off of hatred, off of greed, off of unhealthy competition, because it's a healthy such thing. It's a healthy competition, and not all competition is bad. Okay, there's sports and all the things, but it thrives off of unhealthy competition, because unhealthy competition pushes people to do bad things. It thrives off of sibling rivalry. It thrives off of, dividing families. Yes. It thrives off of creating separation amongst the humans by differences and pain and programs and variables, and making them fight one another. That's a system. That's why humans can't get back to the basics. This is why humans can't get back to simplicity, to true, authentic kindness. It thrives off of creating fear where there is none. It also thrives off of creating ignorance where there's a reason to caution. It thrives on displaced energy. Pit this one against that one and that one against this one, and cause this one to distrust that one, when in truth they should trust this one instead of that one. But that's what the system does.
You idiot.
Yeah, stuff like that. I've always wondered, what is the fight? What is the underlying concern with certain beings coming together with others? What is that really about? Like, truthfully, no BS version. What is that about? There's got to be something. And maybe you all are starting to ask yourself questions like, what? That is weird. Like, what is that? Where I'm telling you what, they get all hands on deck to make sure certain people don't accidentally cross paths, or they don't reconnect in some way. Or what is the fear? What is that? Anywho, I'm going to end this discussion. I know I haven't titled these lives, and I'm doing that intentionally. Because I'm not going to give the system any algorithms. They just going to have to keep their whole ass watching so that they can decide to do what they going to do. I ain't giving her shit. No, nope. Sorry, no title, no hash. You're just going to have to come on and figure it out.
Oh, no.
Back to the basics. Kindness, the system, coordinated entry systems. All we just mushed it in all together tonight. So be careful out there. Have your practical wisdom, because again, I love y'all legit beings out there, but at the end of the day, I'm not standing in your shoes. I'm not in your feet. I'm not in your skin. I'm not in your body. I don't know what your body has had to hold up under. I get 5 minutes of seeing you and knowing you. People get 5 minutes of seeing and knowing you, think they're some kind of expert on you. I don't know, and neither does anybody else. We can still have respect for great teachers and all of that stuff, just because that's not disrespecting that. It's at the end of the day, they're going home and having chicken and ice cream. After they finish talking to you about stuff that they don't have to. And somebody say, well, what if they had a similar story and they had lived out something? It's the same. The variables are not identical. They don't know what you have upheld. You may have upheld something far longer than what they did. They don't know. Variables. I say it all the time. If I was a dude and I didn't have nobody, grabbing at my ankles, if I'm tough as a woman, I would be a forced boy. If I was a man by myself, a child, they would have to come get. They'd have to put me down, taser my ass. They'd have to put me down because I wouldn't care. I wouldn't be caring about shit. I was a dude. Ah, yeah, they would have to go ahead and push the button. Whoever is up where they are would have to hurry up and figure out, bitch, where's the button? Push the button, bitch, today. Helicopter Q in. Push the button. Because we need to put this motherfucker down. Hurry up. That's shit, because they don't care. They don't care about none of this. They don't care. They don't care. They don't care. We got absolute 0% leverage on this motherfucker. They know that we don't got no maternal thread, leash. We don't got nothing. We're done. We're dead. Like, hurry up. Q.
What about that bread?
So, anywho, y'all, take care of yourself out there. If your situation is a classic stereotypical profile case for these programs where they can, you're fitting their profile, and you're in a situation, you're not going to hear from me. I'm not going to be the one to tell you to just absolutely not go. I'm going to say go with sovereignty, go with your awareness, okay, of what you're walking into, and do the best that you can with the situation. And because that's what I did the best that I could with the situation, and they simply continue to pull the rug from up under me and my son. They continued to restrict and restrict and limit and limit and limit. So I worked it the best I could in that scenario. And if I'm presented again, who knows? If I'm presented again with a situation in a different land, I will, I'm telling you right now, I'll do the exact same thing. I'll go in with sovereignty, with full awareness of what I'm dealing with, and work it the best I can until it doesn't work. And that's what I will tell you. But let it be you that determine that, because it is you that has to sit. I can't be in your back pocket. If listen, if woulda, coulda, shoulda, if was a fifth, all of that. You know what I'm saying? If because that's why I probably ain't got no bunch of money, because I'm one of the ones that would make a real difference. Because I'm not an over consumer. It's not that
Yes,
I would
you
neglect
can't win 'em
myself,
all.
but I would actually care and do something that's not just self-serving. And I would need not one person to sacrifice their life to me for it. Pay,
That's 7-Eleven.
pay homage to me. Why? So this is a game. Let's just call this what it is. Let's stop playing. Cause why? Oh, I thought you were being kind. Okay, so you're not. No, you know.
I'm not letting me get
No.
that extra 7-Eleven cop.
But take care of yourself. I honor you. You're not crazy. You didn't deserve this. You're not imagining things. You're not all the things that the trash bags are trying to claim that you are. I know that they're trying to create a paper trail by tampering with your life, by provoking you and pushing you and being weirdos in the cut and shit. Weirdos. You know what I'm saying? They're weird. I know. I know what they're doing. Let's make them look unstable by creating instability. Cueing all the brains. B2K. Say no, say no, say no. Shh, 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 shh. B2K. You can't trust them. You can't trust them. It's a drug addict.
All right.
They're on drugs. They're a prostitute. Don't trust them. B2K. B2K.
Yes.
I know. And I ain't gonna say that I have the answers and that one day it's gonna be better, because I don't really believe that. I believe that your sovereignty practice and your journey is going to be a bloody war, and that at some point you'll have your gains, but until we're done here, you're going to continue to deal with that, because it's just what it is. And anybody that's offering, giving you a success story, caution. Because understand, when you're really targeted, they ain't gonna ever stop targeting you. No matter what you do with your frequency. It will get better. You will have phases and stages where, because stuff start bouncing and different stuff like that. But if you're paying attention to what I just said, I said they'll never stop. Because if you're truly targeted, that means it doesn't. You can get all the parasites off. You can get all the knowledge you want and rid yourself of parasites, entities, ancestral blood packs, and I'm not saying all this to say none of that has validity. I'm saying that that's never gonna stop you from being targeted. It's almost the reverse, because the more you are stepping into your sovereignty, the more you're stepping into your truth, the more your frequency is changing, the more terror, the bejesus, you scare the bejesus out their asses. I'm telling you, that's what happens. They get scared. That's why they queuing all that shit. That's why all these big wigs and their Teslas and all that shit. It ain't because they ain't scared. That's why they sending cult members to the Emerald Suites. They ain't sending them because they ain't scared. Sending them because they are. So if you can accept that, yeah, you'll feel less affected, maybe, over time, because, you're in this mastery. So maybe it just doesn't feel the same, maybe as were before. The fact that they're following you made you feel some kind of way. The fact that can see them, with their weirdo behavior, doing the things, with the smoke and the chants and the flicker hand bullshit, maybe you get to a stage to where it's like you don't care. Like it just is, because it's so redundant at some point. It's like the definition of overdoing. It gets so redundant at some point, you may end up where it just, you don't care, it don't bother you. But the being targeted, like, that's going to be, you may stop even putting awareness in all of the weirdos making circles around you, and all the shit they do. But I'm just here to remind you that you may be in a world and nobody believes you. You may be in a world where you have been labeled as an eccentric crazy. You may be in a world where everything and everyone around you is trying to convince you that you're the problem. And I'm here to tell you that you are not. And I'm here to tell you that you are not crazy. And I am here to tell you, that you are not imagining things. I'm here to tell you it is systemic, it is intentional. Whether all the players involved know that they are intentionally participating or not. But what is happening is, and that is what you're not imagining. You may not have all of the varied details and ins and outs, and you may not know the who's and the nots, the who's intentionally, and those who are just unfortunately conditioned and programmed and hijacked into the system and just simply being used. But the important thing is, it is, and you're not crazy. You're not losing your mind. You're not crazy. You are regaining, reclaiming sovereignty of it. And that's going to always terrify the bejesus out of crooks and criminals who have something to lose. That's going to always terrify the bejesus out of people who have made their millions off of their disgusting practices. That is always going to terrify people who have stolen and killed and got blood on their hands. It's always going to terrify an established business and organization that their very foundation is fucked. It's going to always terrify these people, which means you are a threat. Whether you want to be one or not, whether you meant to be one or not, it is how you are viewed, it is how you are seen, and it is how you are treated, and it is why you are being treated the way you're being treated. Anybody out there, I am still looking for bartering rooms for rent. I am looking for somebody that can work with me and my son until August, where we get our next art money. We have been surviving
No, Ma.
Okay. We have been surviving.
Both of us in trouble for good, but we both know, Ma.
We have been, I'll deal with that when I'm done here. We have been surviving off of the what we have in this manner. Okay. So we are in the Las Vegas area. We do have an income. I'm also willing to work. I'm willing to sign contracts, promises to pay, and provide all documentations, to support what I have, what we have, so that people have all of the proof and the things that they need, to make themselves feel more comfortable at doing such. Okay. And I'm willing to discuss all of that further with anybody who is interested, what it is that I'm looking for and what I can provide. And I'm open to hearing what offers. If anybody out there, if you know of anybody and you care and you would like to support a mother and her son from being separated by the system, if you like to support, those things, let me know and we can discuss the financials, and we can discuss if you have a need of any kind of assistant service. We can do both. Okay. We can do both. And so we only got a few more weeks left in the month of July. So it's not really, I'm asking for 3 weeks. I'm asking for somebody to be able to work with us for 3 weeks while I, get more income, find another option, maybe even find a resource that I'm fully aware of it being what it is, and walk into it the way I want to walk into it from a better position. But that's what we're looking for. We'll submit to background checks. We'll submit all necessary documents to support what I say. That is what I am advocating for, to keep me and my son off of the streets and off of outside shelters and skid rows and places. That is not a good environment for somebody it's not a good environment for nobody, but it's certainly not a good environment for someone who's disabled. So, somebody, they got what they call it, the mother-in-law's quarters. Somebody who could give us 3 weeks, because that's what we're asking for. We're asking for 3 weeks. Today is what, July the 9th. So essentially we're asking for 3 weeks. Okay. Now I can catch, depending on what the rents that they want, I can pay back pay, but I mean, our income as of now is limited. As of now, until I get something else going, whether that's a work from home position, whether that is IHSS, because the IHSS is basically a guaranteed job. But I have to be stabilized for that. In order to have IHSS to come out and evaluate and all that, I need to be somewhere for them to be able to do that. Oh, I think I'm getting a message. So anywho, I got to get going. I got to go talk to someone about some important things, trying to help me and my son out, trying to figure out what our next move is. But I'm going to continue to put this out there because we need help. And I'm trying to, we don't have money to drive around in lifts. It's the, okay, the weather, the weather is extreme. I'm not a spring chicken. I'm 50 years old. My son has health issues. He has hypertension. Okay.
Don't forget about the poor guy who got left behind by accident on purpose.
So we are definitely not a classic case, and we're looking for kindness. We're trying to bet on maybe a handful of humans still left on the earth. Okay, gotta go.